Guys, Spider-Man 2 is out! Spider-Man 2 for the PS5! It's such a good game! Venom is in it, everybody! Oh wow, that's awesome! Let me just get my wallet and get a PS5 and... Look, I get it. Everyone's talking about how cool the new Spider-Man 2 game is, and yeah, I agree, it's awesome, and it does have 19 inches of Venom. But there is another Spider-Man game that has way more than just a measly 19 inches of Venom. That game is Web of Shadows, and depending on who you ask, you'll either hear that this game is a joke, filled with just funny stuff that's meant to be taken seriously but falls flat on its face, or that it's a masterpiece, something that can cure depression, erectile dysfunction, and even virginity. I can tell you firsthand that at least one of those is true. If you have no clue what Web of Shadows is, I can at least guarantee that you've seen that meme of a depressed Spider-Man walking in slow motion. And if that was your only exposure to the game, you're missing out big time. Web of Shadows, dare I even say it, really makes you
feel like Spider-Man?
Spider-Man is not pulling any punches in this fucking game. He makes the Spider-Man with the symbiote suit from the new game and Arkham Batman look like fucking pussy wimps. Ouch, that Batarang sure must sting. Is that a fucking blade at the end of that tendril? Jesus fucking Christ. Oh no, Spidey hit a professional trained assassin's head too hard. Oh no. Oh no, Spider-Man just threw a fucking truck with the driver still in it at some random fuck off dude and killed 10 more people in the process. Spider-Man, fucking stop! He's already dead! The first hour or so of this game is a slog to go through. It takes a while to teach you all of the moves that are available to you, and the way it does it is like this. Find a group of enemies, use the new move you were taught like 10 or so times to beat them, go find another group. This gameplay loop is present during the entire game, with a few actually unique missions along the way. In fact, I'm not sure if you can even say that this game has proper levels, because you never actually go anywhere else other than the open world map. In a way, it's kinda like a Far Cry game. You have a map and people to fight on said map. Do your thing for the next few hours. However, Spider-Man's moveset in this game is just so fun and satisfying to use. The problem of having to beat like 50 bad guys per mission doesn't feel nearly as much of a chore as it is. So here's the basics of the combat. You have two suits, the classic red and blue and the black suit, and you can switch between them with a single press of a button. Not only that, but they also both have their own unique movesets. The red suit is your run-of-the-mill Spider-Man moveset. You got the punches, you got the webs, but the black suit lets you utilize the symbiote to its full potential, and it's just so fun to use. You don't get it, I need this bump. It makes me a better Spider-Man. You can use tendrils to grab enemies and slam them into the pavement. You can throw cars, and if you perfectly time your web strike attack, you can use enemies like a fucking skateboard. And also the idle animation and battle music changes depending on the suit you're using, which is a neat detail. But here's the kicker. When you think of Spider-Man, what three abilities instantly come to mind? Well, let's see. There's his web shooters, there's his spider sense, and there's wall crawling. I feel like wall crawling is the most neglected ability in every single Spider-Man game. And for a good reason. No one wants to just slowly crawl on walls when you can do shit like this. So Shaba Games, the developers of Web of Shadows, realized this and said, hey, what if we let enemies in our game climb on walls just like Spider-Man can? That way you can actually have a good reason to go on walls as well. So not only can a bunch of enemies in this game explore the vertical axis together with you, you also get an entirely new moveset to beat the shit out of your enemies specifically when you're on a wall. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a single other Spider-Man game has done this to date. One thing I'm not mentioning on purpose is the targeting system, because it is absolute dog shit. Check this out, I am fighting this mech and I want to lock onto it so I can kick it while swinging more easily. And the fucking camera keeps randomly pointing to some guy who's 2 blocks away from me. Or when I try to save a civilian from a car that just blew up that I may or may not have thrown myself. And instead of the camera staying on that civilian that I locked on, it switches to some random enemy again, causing the civilian to die. The targeting sucks, you're better off not even using it. There's not that many bosses in the game, because every boss you do fight, you have to beat again when they get their symbiote form. But then you look at the presentation of some of them and just think to yourself, man, that's really cool. Both of the Vulture fights happen entirely in the air. The Symbiote Wolverine fight is in front of a church after this absolutely awesome entrance.
Biggest guy in the bar.
It's so easy to just get lost in how neat these scenarios are and ignore that you're just battling a reskin of a boss that you already beat. Is that a bad thing? Yeah, maybe. On one hand, if you want to be really critical about it, you realize that you're just doing the same thing twice. But on the other hand, there's just something so cool about fighting a symbiote Wolverine. Another thing you can do in this game is call in different allies, some of which are the bosses you previously beat. There's Wolverine, Black Cat, Moon Knight.
This area has been cleared of the infestation.
I'm not sure about that. Moon Knight, they're all around us. And they're all pretty generic sidekicks, but then you call in the Rhino and... Holy shit, get the fuck out of my way! Get the fuck out of the way! When you're not throwing vehicles at poor street thugs and endangering everyone in a 10-mile radius around you, you're swinging around New York and my god, the movement is just so snappy, it's so fast. You get from point A to point B like that. The web swinging is just perfect. It may not be as cinematic as the Insomniac games, but god damn it if it isn't fun as fuck. You can grab onto poles like an acrobat, climb up your webs, sling across the top of a building and go into a skydive, and the game doesn't even teach you all of this, making you experiment with all the things you can do. It's just so fun to swing around at Mach 10, it just never gets boring. There is a catch regarding the swinging though. At the start of the game, you're not nearly as fast as I am here. You need to level up your swing speed, so you go from this
spaghetti
to this. But Ducklex, how do I do this? Are there races I can do? Do I level up the further I get in the story? Well, like every other Spider-Man game, Web of Shadows has collectibles scattered around its world in the form of these little spider emblems. When you collect enough, you level up your swinging. So you go from having to collect 10 spiders to 15 more, but if you want the max swing speed, you need to collect 2,000 of them. Aside from the random fight encounters, collecting these spiders is the only thing to do in the open world. What makes it worse is that the spiders don't even appear on the map unless you get close to them, meaning that actively looking around trying to find them is a nightmare. The swing speed is already pretty good when you reach level 7 or 8, so you don't really need to find all of them. But if you really want to, there's no map that tells you the location of all of them, so have fun. There also isn't that much to see when swinging around because honestly the game looks pretty ugly. The colors are so gray and brown, the buildings all look the same, it's just so boring to look at. Story-wise, this game is alright. Venom's symbiote starts acting up and makes a bunch of offspring that invade New York, turning people into symbiote zombies. This is pretty clever, cause then Spider-Man actually has a reason to go all out and stop pulling his punches, because all these enemies are just as strong as he is. Minus those gang members at the start. I actually kind of feel bad for them. The setting of the game is perfect because of how neatly the gameplay is incorporated with it. You're Spider-Man in a zombie apocalypse. You need to do everything in your might to save everyone you can, even if that means getting sidetracked from your main objective. So while swinging around, you web strike onto a group of symbiote zombies, and seconds later you immediately get back into swinging. This is how Spider-Man would look and fight in this situation, if it already wasn't clear enough because of all my dick riding. The entire game is carried by Spider-Man's moveset. The main gimmick of the story is that depending on your playstyle and choices, you get different cutscenes and different endings. However, the choices are so trivial, they just boil down to, are you gonna be Spider-Man?
Promise me, no more dark suit.
I promise.
Anyway. Or are you gonna be the guy from Hatred?
I just fucking hate this world.
Electro, you unbelievable loser! Fight this thing! Reject it! Tell it to let go of you!
My whole life is just cold, bitter hatred.
Oh, and that grating voice you just heard is how Spider-Man sounds like in this game.
Answer me!
It's trying way too hard and is just annoying to listen to. Every other character sounds fine for the most part though. The only choice that I personally think matters is choosing to spend more time with Black Cat, because, I mean, Look at her. Venom takes the back seat for almost the entire story, he barely appears, and I honestly think that's fine because the main point of the story is that there's something wrong with his symbiote. So in a way, that's the main villain of the game, not Venom. Aww. This game was in development for only around a year, and what Shaba Games managed to pull off here is honestly quite fantastic. Sure, the game has a lot of issues, but if you're willing to just have fun playing as Spider-Man who's going all out and are just too broke to play the new Spider-Man 2, I say you should give this game a shot. Believe me, you won't regret it. Thanks for watching this video. If you wanna like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and there's a link to my Discord server in the description below. Special thank you to all my patrons over on my Patreon, especially to Bliss ______, and it's Sean, I guess. That's it. Bye bye.